Hi, yo, good neighbors. This is Phil Russer of Creator Con Q&A, episode 140. We have a return guest that we always love to speak with, Mr. Kevin Eastman. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thanks for having me back. Nice to be here.
I always appreciate you coming on. And because of the time restraints, we don't do the beginnings and everything. We just get right to it. I like to get right to it. Um, Congratulations again, on, I wouldn't say a revival because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has a big following, but I think just this new energy that's been put out by the Last Ronin. Um, and now obviously you've got the they call it a prequel sequel, The Lost Day. Can you kind of talk to us about what makes it a prequel sequel and what it's about?
Of course, yeah. No, it's it was exciting when we dug into the Last Ronin, the first volume that Tom and I adapted from the original story that Pete and I wrote. And as we were going through building out what we call the Ronin verse, we often found little story pockets that we said, "Oh, it'd be nice to go back and visit that one or that one again one day if we were so lucky." And fortunately, the series was received really well. So when it was suggested we do a follow up right away, one of the things we thought it'd be fun to do, because we're introducing four new turtles that were introduced at the end of issue 5, at the end of Last Ronin, volume 1. And so we said, well, let's focus on one of our favorite bits, that is Michelangelo's journey when he goes to Japan in issue 4, Last Ronin number 1, finds out what happened to Splinter and Donatello, and begins a 16-year journey, which takes him back to page 1 of Last Ronin number 1. So that's kind of the prequel aspect. So we cover that, and then the sequel part of it is the introduction of the new turtles, where you see them evolve over the 5 issues, the 6th issue, counting Lost Day, which is a larger issue, focusing on a day in the life of the new turtles. But we set the entire series that takes place 3 years apart. So issue 1 is the new turtles are age 3, and it's Michelangelo's beginning of his journey. Issue 2, the new turtles are age 6, and it's where Michelangelo is on his journey. So we time it out. So every 3 years we go back to what each of these characters have done, accomplished, and where they're going, the story. So you get little snippets of the new turtles, a longer snippet of who the new turtles are when they're age 12 in Lost Day, and then age 15, which is issue 5, is when that'll lead us straight into what will be Last Ronin part 2. So.
Now, obviously you created the Turtles, co-created many years ago, despite
Yes.
you're only 27 years old. But anyway, um, how did it feel to, I mean, obviously you love the characters, you're attached to them, but you get to create something new again, 4 new characters, and explore them now. Does it like give you a new energy into this, or have you always had that same level of energy with Turtles? Or because after a while, I'm sure, all right, I know Michelangelo and all of them, I've done them so many times.
Well, there was a lot of added pressure in a good way. When we set about adapting a story that Pete and I wrote 33 years ago. The original story, which became The Last Runner, was written in 1987. It was like a 20-page concept, beginning, middle, and end. Then we updated, and adapted. So the idea of bringing 4 new turtles in was a huge amount of pressure, where it had to have the right feeling, the right inspiration. And so just simple things like who they were, what their personalities were, what kind of turtles they were, because it's a different environment from the 4 turtles,
Right.
radioactive ooze in a sewer, or the rat. And so this one is, they were more specifically created in a lab by April, and her history and the family history that's brought into it with the training of, with Splinter's journal. So it was things like naming them that were, the joke or the inspiration, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, was very specific. So, naming them after famous scientists or famous, YouTube stars, I don't know, you didn't want to have it be a throwaway thing, and had to have heart and meaning and soul. And that was what
Right.
I love about working with Tom Waltz so much, is that he's like me. He's a story first kind of guy, and then it has to have heart and meaning. And so, it was a lot of pressure, but we feel very positive about what we've done and where it's going, because you'll see the introduction to these characters in brief moments through Last One in the Lost Years, But when you get into Last Ronin 2, that's where you're going to sort of dig into who they really are, what's happening in the city, because it's been 15 years since Michelangelo passed away and Hiroto was defeated. So what's evolved in this futuristic New York City and where they're going and who they are and what they are as characters. So we have a billion trillion ideas and very excited about it. So
well, you're kind of reinventing the wheel with that, with keeping the old wheel, but you're doing it for the sake of story, which I think is why people are really gravitating to it. You're not contriving and forcing for the wrong reasons. You're creating and expounding upon, which I think is great. Having said that, are there thoughts of an ongoing series with the Ronin verse, going on forward with as well as the ongoing series of the regular continuity?
Well, we're lucky in that, much like us being able to do something like Last Ronin, Lost Years, Lost Day, and leading into Last Ronin Part 2, it's the fans that ultimately decide. We have the ideas and we have things that we'd like to do, and we approach it in a way that we want to do the best job possible. Honestly, we write the stuff for us because we're just big goofy geeks and we love this. So we write the stories that we want to read, and if it resonates and you guys dig it as well, then and it works, then we'll continue. But right now, for the future of all things in the Roninverse and things with the new Turtles, we'll do Last Ronin Part 2, which would be similar format to the first one, which would be 5 issues, 40 pages each, oversized in structure. We'll have the original team back together, the Scorza brothers and Ben Bishop, and of course Tom and myself, Luis Antonio Delgado, all colors. And then that we have a very specific plan for Part 3. So that's about 2 years work and plus. So we want to see how that goes. In the meantime, there's I still get to hang out with Tom and the incredible Sophie Campbell, what Tom's doing with Armageddon Games, what Sophie's doing with the ongoing series. So we get our feet in all these great turtle universes and just having a really good time. So.
And what made you go with the regular comic size format for Lost Days, Lost Years, and Lost Day, as opposed to the oversized?
Because we wanted it to be shorter issues, and that it's something that it was kind of a bridge story. Because again, we go back to the prequel sequel kind of concept. So we said, well, let's do this more traditional size format because it's kind of a sub story, but it's a lead-in story. But when you get into the heart and soul, the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the next series, we'll go back to the larger format. So it was nothing. Not that we thought any less of it. It was just sort of kind of a structural issue that preserves the format structure of Last Ronin as its style, format and structure, with this interim sort of series. So,
well, to me, that says you're writing for story, not page count, which I think is important. I think that's kind of hurt comics in the past years as they keep writing in formats for collected trade paperback, and I think that affects storytelling. So I think it's great that you're just writing the story for what it's supposed to be.
No, you're so right, and it's tough because there are infrastructure and cost issues and timing issues and certainly pacing issues because we just can't get past us running late on everything, which is kind of the plague. And it's not
anticipation.
we appreciate you guys all being so patient with us.
Have there been any? I mean, I know you said you have 2 years going out, Ronin 2, Ronin 3. Has there been any conversations about possibly a crossover of the two universes, the regular continuity and the Roninverse, or some sort of story that integrates the two of them?
Not really, because it's kind of we're lucky that this concept, which I think has been around for a long time, this concept of a multiverse. It's something we didn't create, of course. It's something from early days of Marvel and DC Comics, multiverse and different, the Bizarro universe of Superman
right.
and the different Batman universes. And I think it became super popular with the Marvel Cinematic Universe with, Spider-Man and just there's so many cool aspects. But we've been lucky in the Turtles that we've had the original black and white comic series, of course the Archie comic series based on the animated series, and then the movie series, which is kind of a combination of both. So with our approach and take on Last Ronin, it was kind of like what Frank Miller did with Dark Knight. It was within the concepts of all things we know about Batman, but it was a mini universe in itself, so to speak.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense right now to see any way that those would cross over yet. But right now, because we're all about just spending the next 24 months plus doing the best job we can on the
And
new
can we
Ronin.
see art chore? Are we going to see art chores from you again in the new series that's currently out? Like for flashbacks, like you did the flashbacks in Last Ronin and things like that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. No, that's the fun part. I like to, because besides the level of work that Tom and I do together in preparation for working, kind of art directing and directing the incredible artists that we get to work with, I like to have my hand in there because, I still draw every day, doing all kinds of fun stuff. And then with Lost Day, I'll have more pages. But then when you get into Last Ronin Part 2, I'll definitely have, it'll be similar to Last Ronin, Volume 1, which is I'll have pages in each of the issues, and it's fun. The format's good. The fun's I like to have my hand in there. I like to be in the middle of the mix, especially with working these guys at the Escorza brothers, and certainly Ben Bishop and those guys that inspire me greatly, and get the old man to try to up his game, so to speak.
Do you have creative say over the team for these, or because IDW is publishing it, or they gave you freedom?
Oh, IDW and Nickelodeon both have been incredibly supportive for whatever we wanted to do. So they're, they know, Tom and I were pretty much running rogue, if you will. Not, we with Last Ronin, we had full control. So we had control of the story. We still had, things that Nickelodeon would occasionally go, that's a little too violent. Could we tone it down just a smidge? But I use that that caution lightly, because they were really supportive of the intensity, the edge, the power that the story needed to have to tell it the right way that we needed to tell it. So so they've been great, and it's been very similar to the approach for Lost Years, and again, getting the band back together, so to speak, for Last Ronin 2 is they pretty much give us well, you guys did it the first time, so just do it again. Do it again, please.
Nice. I think that's important for publishers to allow that creative freedom, because otherwise it stifles. And I think it's part of the success of this.
No, I think it's, and they are very simple. It's like independent filmmaking or independent music or those kind of things. I think if you have, the purity and the simplicity, and you don't have, 25 producers or executives sort of breathing down your neck.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, that usually, it everything ends up as beef stew then. So
yeah.
I don't know what that means.
So as far as the movies, which do you prefer, animation or the rubber suits?
It depends on the movie, because Turtles movie 1 with the Jim Henson suits will never be. That can never be topped. That was the perfect storm, the perfect movie, the perfect director. Todd Langdon is the perfect writer. Jim Henson, bringing his magic and his his ability. So that was the perfect film. You can't beat it. So, but also if you look at a movie like Batman versus Turtles, which was an animated one, that's the only way, in my opinion, you could really cross over those worlds in a way that would work effectually. And even with Last Ronin, when there's been any discussion of doing, say, something beyond the comic book for Last Ronin, we felt that if you approach it as an animated style project, kind of like Warner Brothers did with adapting Dark Knight and Year One and Red Hood and so many of the more mature audience projects to celluloid or I guess video to streaming service these days, that's the way to go. So it depends on the project. I'm excited to see what Seth Rogen's doing with his younger version of reintroduction of the Turtles. I've not seen anything on it, and I'm actually kind of excited about that I'm going to get the chance to see it fresh without any insight. So it'll just be like, boom, one of all of us fans in the audience, and excited about that. So.
Well, I know that you have your time restraints. I don't want to overstep my boundaries and keep you, but honestly, and I mean this sincerely, I think part of the success is not just that you and Peter created great IPs. I think people feel your passion, your fandom in it. You're one of us to people. You know, you've kept your humility. You're a fan, and you create as a fan would. As you know, any of us indie creators create our projects. You're not creating for any other reason than you just love the storytelling and you love the characters, and that passion comes through. And I think that's a great thing, and we need more of that in the industry. So, congrats to you and your success. I appreciate that you always come on. We love having you back. And we look forward to seeing everything unfold in the Roninverse. And again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has its regular continuity going on with IDW every month. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it, Phil. Always great to talk to you. And yeah, let's revisit. Let's visit again at as we get towards the end of Last Ronin Lost Years, and as we head into the new series, so we can catch up again then. So I look forward to that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and thank Courtney.
I will. She's the best. Thank you for your kind words, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Cheers, man. Thanks, Phil. Have a good one.
So that was, of course, Kevin Eastman, co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Peter Laird. He's often very busy, so we do short little interviews, but he's very kind to always come on with me and speak. So go check out Lost Days. The first issue is out already. The next one's out in March. So please go check it out. Again, in my dealings with Kevin Eastman, he honestly is one of the good people. He's one of the humble people. He's one of the fans like us. And those are the people you want to support who are creating for the sake of the love of creating. So go check it out. If you haven't been, if you've been in a cave or something, go check out The Last Ronin, which is 5 issues that have been out since, the last 2 years. Of course, Lost Days is out now. And we're going to look at Last Ronin 2, which will be coming shortly. That's it for today. I will post this live for you. I'm sorry we couldn't do a live Q&A like I usually do, but because of time restraints, we did not feel we could fit everything in time. Thanks for watching CreatorCon Q&A and your support of my channel. Thanks for coming out to watch me speak with Kevin Eastman. And go support the indie community as much as you support the mainstream community, because we want to keep storytelling and creativity alive. I'm going to leave you with what I always leave you with. Be legendary and have fun storming the castle.